So welcome to the first session here. I'm Jolie. I'm the founder of Canvas. I've been using the different modalities of mindfulness to facilitate all ages, from children to adults. Today I have with me Gosia, a wonderful psychotherapist. So let's welcome Gosia here.
Thank you, Jolie. Thank you for having me here. So, yes, I am psychotherapist. I am an artist. I am actually in the process of narrowing my niche, and I want to support women who grow up with emotionally distant, overbearing mother, and they feel impact of that today, and it shows up in not choosing themselves, abandoning themselves, keeping everyone's happy. So what my approach is, I would say, holistic as well. My foundation was in humanistic approach of Carl Rogers, person center, and I deeply believe in this approach, and as well I've done a lot of training in expressive art therapy, but in recent years I am deeply interested in family constellations of birth Hellingers and intergenerational trauma. So thank you for having me here, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Yes.
Thank you, Gosha. So it's really much needed. And I was actually taking a walk today and sharing a little bit more about how women, tend to protect as a very natural instinct. But as well, in the city now, there's just so much rush and competition as well that, I agree that the work that you do is it's much needed for women to not just protect but nurture and listen a bit deeper.
Themselves.
Yes,
Yes, taking
yes.
pause, taking these slow walks and
Mm,
moments, yes, just to stop.
mm. So today's session is a little bit about what healing is and returning to our roots. And because healing is not just linear or through just analysis, no force. I wanted to share a little bit about what is beneath the surface, or how do we return to the roots. So I have some question prepared for you.
Okay,
And the
all right.
first one is, what do you notice people are usually carrying beneath their challenges? What do you notice people are
Mm-hmm,
usually carrying
mm-hmm.
beneath their challenges?
Everyday challenges or life challenges.
Mm,
Of course, there are some first things what comes. It's unresolved emotions, unprocessed emotions, um, and um, and trauma
mm,
underneath. And this,
true.
for me, primary wounds. It's a fear of abandonment, rejection, a wound of abandonment, rejection,
Mm,
humiliation, injustice, and betray. So, under all of that, these challenges is unresolved, unprocessed emotions,
mm,
which they never disappeared when as a children we suppress on repressed. They never disappeared. They stuck in our system, nervous system, in our body, and it's difficult to live life if they
mm.
not process. And it's a scary place to go there. Mm.
Yeah, and what you say about unprocessed emotions. I really wanted to emphasize on this because a lot of us just protect or, fix or teach or guide others. And I respond to these unprocessed emotions, with also my own observations at work. And I feel like, there's a lot of like repressed repressed emotions as well. Like, oh, I'm okay, I'm fine.
Mhm.
Let's keep moving on. Whenever there's something difficult, it's like, let's not look at it. Let's keep going. Let's try to move
Yeah,
forward.
yeah. To move forward, to force, to push,
Mm,
without really that pause, that stopping and checking with the body. Because
mm,
emotions, it's a limbic system, we feel them in the body,
mm,
and we can talk about emotions, which is expressing,
mm.
but it isn't necessary dealing with emotions. Hmm?
Yes, I agree.
So in this
Mm,
work, at some point, uh, I my work therapy is
mm,
talking therapy, but it's required to do body work and find some good body worker and do work on the deeper emotional level on body work to release
mm.
them. Mm.
Yeah. I think it's scary, it's scary to pause and accept or acknowledge that there's something wrong in my body or in me, and I guess that vulnerability has kind of stopped the true connection of listening. This is also why I really enjoy speaking to you and sharing this conversation of like, how can we actually look at the roots of why there are always these challenges repeating over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, something about this almost like uh, you finding yourselves in
Yeah.
the same situation, the same challenge. Maybe people are different, and it's like there is the sense of the loop. So always again is that underneath is this emotions, something is there unresolved. Why is scary? Because it's again it's coming from the childhood. I think that
Mm.
it will be a lot of about the childhood what
Yes.
it hasn't been processed. And bless our parents or parents, their own trauma, maybe they weren't regulated themselves, integrated human beings. They couldn't create safe container, self space for us as a children to process emotions. So then when we growing up, it's not safe for us to look there because we don't
Mm.
have a capacity to
That's
hold
right.
ourselves and these emotions. I don't know how you
Mm.
how you see that, but for me that where it's coming from.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm.
I'm so grateful to hear that you continuously talk about the child. And I work with children, and whenever I see a child, the unprocessed emotions are usually from a lot of the fear mongering habits. Like, if you don't do this, you will fail. If you don't do that, or no, there's a lot of not, you know, giving that space to probably, or an outlet to express
Uh-huh.
those difficult emotions.
Uh-huh.
I think the most difficult part is when a child is crying, and it's quite a very common thing to do is to say, stop crying.
Uh-huh.
I always felt
Right.
it's a bit, um, that may be why it's unprocessed. And instead of like, come, let me know why you've cried today. Why are you feeling this way? Are you feeling angry or hurt? Instead of stop
Uh-huh.
crying, don't be sad, finish
Uh-huh.
this first, and then we'll
Oh.
talk about your
Uh-huh.
emotions later, or I'll get you a reward after you finish this, instead of listening a little bit more about the reason why
Um,
they cried.
mhm. So yes, you working with children, I work with inner children. of the adults. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, yeah. But absolutely, that's
yes,
what you said. It's that adult who never done emotional work cannot help regulate the child. Mm? And even the example, simple example with the grief, it might happen that there is a child has got a little puppy, and that puppy or dog die, and mother goes and buys straight away to new dog. That grief is unfinished.
it's right.
So it's like if a parent never went there to that space of sadness, of grief, or
That's
fear,
right. Yes,
it's unlikely will be able to assist the child by just being, holding the space, that container. The child can be with all this range of emotions.
exactly. And in order to connect with something really deep or difficult, I need to come to the same level of vulnerability so I could connect with the child. And so I guess
Mm-hmm.
that is, that the need for space and time
Yes, yeah.
is challenging. It's very
Very
challenging.
challenging. Yeah.
I have a
Hmm.
second question for us.
Mm-hmm.
How do family history and ancestry quietly shape how we think, feel, and relate? How do family history and ancestry shape how we think, feel, and relate? If you can share some ancestral patterns as well appearing
Mm-hmm.
in everyday life.
Gosh, it's that ancestor work is so big, and that answer that it's another another conversation, another topic. How is shapes? Well, our life comes from our ancestors, through our parents,
Mm,
and we can only fly as high as our roots are deep. Um, and these are very
mm,
very hidden, sometimes so what we call hidden loyalties, that we might carry for some ancestor, or for mother, for because we are creatures and we need to belong. hmm? And
that's true.
some of times it might happen that when we don't want to look at the trauma, we
Mm.
cut ourselves off, or we had
Oh, yeah.
very challenging parents, which
Mm,
that's many people's life, and they cutting themselves off from parents.
mm,
And what happens, sometimes you need to connect in certain way. So from abusive father, alcoholic father, you might repeating, because what we reject, we give strength. What we reject, we connect with. So everything is about including, not excluding. And what I mean here, it's not about giving your heart to your parents, but taking them into your heart. But that process is very difficult process for many of people, because first you need to go through the process of seeing the reality what it was, tapping into your deficit, what you didn't get, what was basic needs as a child,
mm,
then recognizing this deficit and saying goodbye to the losses. If you never relieve your losses as a child, it's difficult later in life to.
mm,
It's a lot of fear-based personalities. So how it's limiting. We think that we are living our life, but it's fear based, because if I've done the work with my mother, with my father, with my trauma, my personal history, I know that I am already in success, because I know where I am coming from. I know that I have got this life, that precious gift from my parents, and I will do something good in it. And every success, every blessing what comes, it's their success, because without them I wouldn't be here. So whatever comes, it's extra. Another
True.
project, another loss of the project, I'm okay, because I know that I have got back there behind me. So I don't know if I answer that question. Mm,
It's a very deep
yeah,
question. But
yes,
what
it's a
I've
very deep.
gotten, what you just said, which is very powerful, and I wanted to repeat that, and I'm not sure if I got that right, and maybe we can share a little bit more,
Uh-huh.
is, and what I can relate with is what we reject, we give more power to. What we reject from our parents, we give more power to that fear. What we reject from our
Uh-huh.
parents, we give more power to that sense of, for example, abandonment, like
Uh-huh.
the sense of abandonment of,
Yes.
right? Is that what
What we
was?
reject, yes.
Mm,
What we reject, what we exclude, it binds us.
it binds us. So when you say it binds us, I could only think of like working with the parent and child in private sessions, and how, wanting to fix something that they're afraid of. And the more we try to fix that, what we are
Mm-hmm.
afraid of, we give a lot more emphasis, expectation, and even more strength to that fear,
Mm-hmm.
instead of saying, I accept this
Yeah.
this in me, I accept
Yeah.
there's a bad parent, or there's a difficult challenge, or something traumatic or really
Yeah.
difficult.
Or that fear, what you say, I accept. I allowed myself to be with this fear. I
Mm,
allowed myself to be with these struggles. Allowed myself to be with the challenge, which might be representant of something what comes from the past. But yes, to be with that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yes. You also reminded me of my own personal journey of searching for my own ancestry roots recently with my aunt. And she has
Mm-hmm.
been researching a lot on the background of the great grandmother and so on and so forth, all the different generations. And when I
Right.
realized that all the men's names were mentioned, but the women's names were not mentioned in our
Right.
ancestry, and our all our names of generations of who has contributed to the next generation, that feeling of that struggle to be seen, to be held
Mm,
as a woman,
yes,
and
yeah.
also the struggle of how we want to be successful and accomplished as women in the family. It really shows the 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 causes of this
Mm-hmm.
pattern. I am this unseen pattern that women was not. Yes,
Invisible
invisible.
women,
Exactly.
unseen. So it's almost like you are the dream of your ancestors, women,
Mm,
because the work what you do, how you contribute in your community, you visible, your work matters because they were invisible, like their work doesn't matter, but they were upholding probably all these families, all these men.
mm. Yeah, I think it's about the importance of the understanding family history and ancestry that actually helps us to realize that we struggle because of that. So then we can stop struggling, and we can be more gentle, and we can just learn to, it's almost like
Yes.
radically accept. Yeah.
Yes, that radical acceptance.
Mm,
And because then we can go to our life, and live, create,
mm,
and if something work, we fine. If something
mm.
works, that's great too.
Yeah. I really
Mm.
think the importance of, like going, it's almost like what you're saying is not be afraid of kind of facing your fear and taking that fear as our mother, right? Like our nurturer, our teacher, so that we get to really understand the patterns and to live
Mm,
with it instead of
mm,
struggling to work against it or push it away.
mhm, mhm. Facing this fear, it's yeah, that word facing. It's just meeting that
Mm,
fear. Even welcoming that, of course, it's
mm,
when there is a lot of complexity of past is difficult. So that's why I do believe in psychotherapy, counseling, because that other person can hold that
mm,
for us, and then we internalize that internal therapies, internal loving, compassionate mother, and compassion will take you further than anything else. Because even if you fall, you will get up when you have got compassion.
mhm. Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful. I think I'm very curious with family constellations, because you do psychotherapy, but you also bring a holistic approach and even a spiritual approach in your counseling sessions. How do you bring, since we're still in the family and ancestry healing,
Mhm.
family constellations into your therapy, and what is family constellations?
Right. So I've been trained with family constellation. I first time I came across that in 2017. I work with one person individually, and then group work as a participant, and then I did the training in that with one of my great teacher, Grażyna Szatkowska in Poland, and it's a Bert Hellinger. It's a powerful group work, and
Mm,
I first of all, I would advise to do one-to-one first or do therapy because it might be overwhelming. And it's important to find right person. And I trust my teacher from family
mm,
constellations. How I bring to the session, I work with what is here and now. So I work
mm,
with personal history.
mm,
But more and more, I have got clients who've done a lot of work. They've done CBT, they've done different approach, and there is this another level. They stuck with something and they cannot move. And more comes work. Everything leads to the work with the mother. And these ancestors, hidden loyalties, what I said, mentioned
mm,
before, what what still I'm rejecting, not work out for myself. Still, I'm excluding, and how I do that? Uh, Sometimes it happens that comes certain statement and it's a just right moment that it's landing with that person and something shifting. Hmm?
mm. Okay.
That it's like I say something and it just that resonates.
Mm,
That makes sense.
mm,
That's and already talking about, how was that with your mother, how mother
mm,
was with the grandmother, was happened something in that family, was there any unborn child, aborted child, and talking with that, it's already does something.
Mm,
According to Bert Hellinger, according to Annie Schutzenberg, which wrote the book Ancestor Syndromes, Bert Hellinger's many books, it didn't started with you as well.
mm,
So there is a lot of researchers who do this work.
mm,
So how I work with that in this way?
yeah. I think this uncovers a little bit more deeper than the usual talk therapy or counseling or even a healing session. So it means that, it also focuses on more intuition and
Mm-hmm.
that deep connection or empathy. You said a lot about hidden loyalties and the hidden loyalties of, you know, the rejection. This rejection here, I can only, I'm just trying to communicate or express how it feels like for me or some people that I work with is that struggle of denying that part of that pain or sadness or even betrayal,
Yeah,
especially anger, that deep anger,
yeah.
that it felt like guilt or shame, like it's really difficult to talk about. And
Mm.
so I because I would only see more patterns in terms of movement or in their creation, um, then the hidden loyalties that you work with is through understanding about the mother's patterns. Is that correct? Like the mother, and then rest they
Mothers,
talk.
mothers, but it's not
Mm-mm.
necessary to the mother, it's to the family, because
Okay.
it's to the family, to the ancestors, and these are very deep unconscious dynamic which I would never thought. Recently, I've done that survey about the women who grow up with distant mothers,
Mm,
and it's like that hidden loyalty, that
mm,
how that mother is monitoring from inside. And these are women from different ages, and
that's
that
right.
mother gaze to not betray her in certain way is so powerful. So that's, for example, that hidden loyalty,
I
that
see. Right.
I might sabotage even my relationship because my
Mm.
mother, she wasn't happy. And so that's example.
And
I might
again,
sabotage my
mm,
projects
right.
because maybe my family never done anything creative. I'm giving a kind of
Mm,
example from kind of I can I don't know
exactly.
my
Yep.
yes my process.
Mm, mm,
So
mm,
that
mm.
those are that hidden loyalties that it's a betraying. It's a betraying because it's a Mm, mm, it's a tribe. Family is a tribe, ancestors is a tribe. So, like in these primitive tribes, when
Right.
you are
Mm.
going beyond your tribe, it equals death. Or when
Wow,
you are
this is
out, it's worse than death.
isn't this a big struggle? Because then you defy your tribe, you betray your tribe, but then now if I betray and I reject my tribe, then I am not healed. Is that correct?
Mhm. No, 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 because we don't want you to cut off yourself from the tribe.
That's right. That's
We
the
want
easiest
to,
way.
yes, that's the easiest way. That's
I
the
mean, many
easiest way.
times, right? I will see like
Yes,
everyone
very
just wants
easily.
to escape or like get
Yeah,
out of this
yeah,
toxic family or
yeah.
toxic relationship.
Yes, yes.
Let's just
I,
blame it on what's toxic
yeah,
rather than to address what's really happening. But nobody has
yes.
space, right?
Yeah. Yes. I never will be like my mother. And here we
Ah,
go.
that's right.
50 years
Oh
later,
dear,
I
that's
am,
so true.
I am
I will
exactly in certain
never.
moments like my mother. So, and
Yes.
I have got,
That's a
I
great
agree
example.
on that. I agree on that.
I agree
But
on that. What do you mean by agree on that?
I internalize my mother.
Oh, I
I
agree with my
internalize.
mother.
So
I
I
agree with what
too,
she does.
no, 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 no. I agree on her. So like I'm accepting her,
Oh, okay. Yes, there's
right?
plenty of
Yes.
examples too. I
So
agree.
I take her in my heart. So then I
That's right.
can go and move further. Hmm?
Hmm.
But in the
Yeah.
sense, I can say at some point, Mom, I need to betray you. And now I'm going under influence of my dad. Where is a courage? Where is a joy? Because with mother are emotions, emotions. That's why nowadays we have got a lot of emotional people,
Hmm?
not necessarily with emotional intelligence, but emotional. So that's when
Sensitive.
there is
Yes.
that no, no, it's not sensitive. It's nothing wrong to be to be
Yes.
sensitive. No,
So the
it's a
emotional,
emotional, not emotionally regulated,
right,
not with emotional intelligence.
right.
And that's when they are staying very close to the mother,
Wow, this is mind
right?
blowing, Gosia.
A
So
big.
the
Mm-hmm.
idea of a woman being emotional that has a lot of links to their mother because agreeing and accepting or not having enough of that strength of courage, like from the father's side. Are you saying father is the more masculine?
Father is more masculine, father is a structure, father is a courage, father is a self-expression. When you
Mm,
don't really pay attention a lot of how other people talk about you, it's a courage, it's a structure. But mother, especially when we grow up with complex mother, emotional, then we are directionless in life because we are just drowning in these emotions, not necessarily emotionally regulated.
I understand now.
And it's a different than sensitivity because sensitivity is a
It's
vulnerability.
beautiful.
It's a
Mm,
beautiful,
I think it's
yes.
beautiful.
So it's not that. But when we are
Right.
loyal, that hidden loyalties, that might be that we are under influence of the mother and we want to have a balance. We
Mm,
want to have access to emotions. We want to listen them.
mm,
We want to advocate for ourselves, don't underrepresent ourselves and communicate, but we want
mm,
to have as well father behind that structure that we can build the projects, we can execute. Hmm?
mm. Take
So
action, isn't it?
yes, take action. So we have got internalized mother and father, but they are more healed and healthy. So it's a compassion that I can be compassion for myself. I can be loving for myself, but as well respecting because not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily I like going to the gym, but
Yeah,
because of I respect myself, so I will do that work. So I
understand.
as well do things. But father is as well that I can enjoy life. Hmm? Because mother they have got so many responsibilities and it's always mother did you do the homework, did you clean the room, that's a mother. A father is fun. When healthy father comes, there is a
Healthy
fun.
father. Okay, we
Healthy father,
emphasize.
yeah. Yes, yes, yes,
because
yeah.
because the thing that I wanted to clarify, especially if I were to share this with someone who's 12 years old or 9 years old, then
Mm-hmm.
nowadays they're so careful about genders, or this idea of
Yes,
a woman or a
yeah,
man. And I actually
yeah,
love it. I enjoy that they don't
yes.
see the gender. So
Mm-hmm.
actually wanted to clarify, like when you said the mother and the father, is it more like the dynamic and what kind of research
Mm-hmm.
goes behind the mother archetypes and the father archetypes? Is that
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yeah, I not talking about the genders here. I'm talking
Yes,
about psyche energies and this
s-
archetypal
that's
energies.
right.
We
Okay.
we can refer here to Jung. Hmm? He
Okay,
did a
good.
lot of
I
anima
see.
and animus representation on the men and women. So Carl
Right.
Jung is here, which I would, of course, other further
Mm,
later psychoanalyst Caroline Mays. I don't remember Woodman. I don't remember the name, but Woodman
right.
is as well psychoanalyst. So yes,
Studying the
so
archetypes and
yes,
studying.
archetypes, energies,
Mm,
and this
right.
mother. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Beautiful. I see
Yeah.
them now. It's so beautiful because then we can see how these archetypes work within us, right? And in the
Yes.
struggles of our
Yeah.
interrelationships with
Yes.
our
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
generations of family or
Mm-hmm.
even generations of trauma, what you're saying.
Yes, yes, yeah,
It's true.
absolutely. But everything is about this internal system. When you
Mm,
make changes, first you need to work internally, then external world will adjust itself. It's a
I love
ripple
that.
effect, not other way
Beautiful.
around. We don't
No,
control or try to manage because we became project managers of boyfriends, families, and we have got more interesting and fun
I
stuff
really
to
love
do.
that. I mean, that is a very great reminder. You know, everything starts internally and
Mm-hmm.
not externally. Everything will come together once we work internally and not
Yeah,
force things to happen
yeah.
externally.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
beautiful. Well, I
Mm,
have another question which
mm-hmm.
draws and pulls strings in my heart is the
Right.
unseen grief and loss.
Mm,
So, you know, the so what
mm-hmm.
happens when grief, loss, or trauma from the past was never acknowledged?
Gosh, that's so sad. That's
It
so
is.
sad, and uh, I don't think that you can fully live in this life because trauma. When trauma happens, organism is very clever. It creates dissociation
Mm,
because
okay.
your heart would be broken. So at
Mm,
some point you need to dissociate it, and the dissociation is like protective mechanism. But
I
what it
agree. I
does to
understand.
you, that you cannot access certain emotions because they are too big. Hmm?
Yes.
So then you are living your life disconnected in the dissociated, fragmented parts of yourself, of the self. Hmm?
Beautiful.
So if you never go to your uh, sadness,
Yes.
shame, grief, that darkness of the darkness, and you never go there, you will
Mm,
never be able to go to the joy, to contentment in life, in genuine well, because when you it's a law of biology, everything or nothing. You cannot access emotion of the um, compassion even or
yes.
joy because you don't have access
True
to
joy. Yes.
all that range of emotions, so you live but not really.
Yes.
And
Gosia. Yes.
I do really think that it's a traumatized societies. We are living in
To
traumatized
dismiss this.
society.
Yes,
Yeah,
to
there
dismiss
is
this part
as
of
well.
it.
There is
Because
a
it's
research part. Hmm.
usually seen as something weak, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
socialized that way, you know,
yes,
being
yeah,
in that dark, sad,
yeah,
low energy is weak.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's of course we want to go there. We don't want to spend years and years in
No,
therapy,
it's
but
also
it's needed. Uh, and yet life is to live.
this
So
is one
it's
of my favorite topics because in
mhm,
so many years of research development and personal growth, I realized that without this portion of just tapping into that loss,
Mm,
it could be a loss of a relationship. It could be the loss of someone who betrayed you or friendship.
yeah,
Could be
yeah.
actually something really small. And of course, the loss of someone dear to you passed away, and
Mm-hmm.
or maybe not, someone dear to you, but even that kind of grief of a new job, a new transition, the moment I see someone actually having that space to tap into those acknowledgement of those deep settled difficult challenges is when they get to have that um self mastery tools, that
Mm-hmm.
understanding that
Mm-hmm.
something exists in them, that they're able to liberate and see
Yeah.
things with more or rather see things with less ignorance, with less of that or denial. You talk about the rejection of this and that.
Mm-hmm.
So without that deep, dark kind of,
Yes.
yeah, I,
Mm-hmm.
I would
Yeah.
describe the deep and dark uh, feeling like in a cave,
Mm-hmm.
and going back to that cave to just uncover, all those really difficult challenges that's happening, in the mind, in
Mm-hmm.
the body, and then
Yeah.
really embrace that
Yeah.
challenges so that it almost becomes like, you've died as well, and you acknowledge
Mm.
that death.
Mm. Mm.
And once you
Mm.
acknowledge that feeling of like, letting, accepting, allowing, then something truly that
Great.
resonates deeply into the gut or to the heart and the
Mm-hmm.
core just starts to like rise, that starts to feel like I think I'm
Yes.
awakened, something awakens
Mhm,
within.
mhm, mhm. Even that movement, what you did, isn't it like going out? But first, it needs to be going into that, like you said, that cave, and that's require a lot of courage. And then it's almost that release happens, and something brings that different energy, like you said, liberation.
Yes. Yes. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
like a liberance, the
Yeah.
feeling from pain when you're allowing yourself to
Mm.
feel all the pain without escaping, without
Yeah.
complaining, and you just gotta go deep into understanding where the pain is,
Yeah.
accepting it. Then you can actually
Mm.
uh, be truly free from it because it no
Mm.
longer affects you.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
But to go
Yes.
there, the grief and loss is what I've noticed. Things are always repeating and repeating itself. If it is, and it's very hard for people to have space or time, number one, to
Yes.
just get into it. It's also very expensive for therapy sessions
Mhm. Mhm.
to commit to that level of depth that they allow
Yeah.
themselves to, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like
Yes.
it took us as I'm sure, a lot of commitment to really go deep into it and
Mhm.
to really be very honest, like
Yeah.
honest with it.
Yes. What I'm hearing, what you say, is just sometimes the life nowadays, how all the capitalism, and
Mm,
it's not a quick fix. It's require time and patience and what I said, courage to really go
courage.
there, and yes,
Mm,
and on. But that is a very deep work on the deep level, and
it is.
from that it might come liberation. But it, yeah.
But even just sharing
Mm,
about this, the
mm,
feeling I'm getting, is empowerment, It
yeah.
is that investment and that commitment of doing this work because I value my life and I know that this
Mm,
can actually
right,
benefit the people
right.
around me,
Yeah, and
even though
and
it's
may
really, really
mhm,
challenging.
yes,
Mm.
and maybe that's the first time that truly you don't self-abandon yourself in that
Oh,
moment.
beautiful.
Mm.
That's
And
right.
yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
need to take a pause for a while
Yes.
because that was really beautiful.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
We have another question. The law of
Mhm.
nature.
Right. Okay. Right. I think that you are an expert on that, but please.
Oh, I
Mhm.
think the nature really talks a lot about the nature self, the self that's connected
Mhm.
to who we are. So, from your perspective, what does nature teach us about balance, healing, and restoration? And one more thing that I wanted to add is that I always look into your Instagram, your
Mhm.
socials, and you don't post often, but most of them were that experience of being in nature. And hence, this is why I wanted to ask this question.
Right. Right. Gosh, would you just repeat that question?
From your perspective, what does
Mhm.
nature teach us about balance or healing, restoration?
Mhm. Mhm.
So, what does nature teach us about
Right.
balance?
Yeah. For me, nature it's a greater co-regulator. Co-regulator. It's
Co-regulator,
co-regulator.
co-regulator.
Yes. I when I am in nature, it's my nervous system is responding straight away to that and feels good. Mm.
Beautiful.
And I don't think so that I need to say more here. It's
Mm,
co-regulating. It helps. It's everything. Even just going for a walk, being around sea or mountains. It's a different. I have got different responses within myself to this environment, but yeah, that calmness, that yeah, calmness.
it's beautiful. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's true. It's just something so majestic, isn't it? Like it's
Mm.
bigger than the being, bigger than the problems. As
Yeah,
my personal perspective,
right.
it's also within us, and it's very creative. It doesn't
Yeah.
attach to things too long.
Mm, mm,
So
mm,
it's really beautiful.
mhm. You've spent
Balance.
as well a lot of time traveling to different spaces. Mm?
Thank you, Gosia. I think most of us sometimes need
Right.
to explore a little bit more than our usual environments, just so that it helps us to see it in a slightly different perspective. But yes, I also have been recently thinking that sometimes less is more. And
Mhm.
there's a lot more power
Mhm.
now slowing down to just
Mhm.
see nature in or creation in every single small things that we have in
Yes. Yeah.
everywhere, anywhere
Yeah.
actually.
It doesn't require a lot, isn't it? But it's just, it doesn't, but it does for some people, because it's like going to the park, taking off your shoes. Mm.
Yes. And
Already you
noticing.
connected, noticing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something very pleasurable, I love sun and I just
Yeah.
being around the sea and sun is the best
Uh,
place for me. Yeah.
when you say that, I feel both calm but
Yeah.
nervous for a lot of people who are not used to the
Mm,
hands or the
mhm,
feet being
mhm.
dirty, you know, just
Right.
just being connected to mud and sand or even dirt.
Mm,
Especially since COVID, I see a lot of children being taught to be a lot
right,
careful
right.
about mess, and being
That careful, be careful.
yes,
Mhm,
and the
mhm.
mess. So whenever I bring
Yeah,
them onto a retreat or to take off their shoes, which I'm excited about, but for them it's like insects and ants and It's
Uh-huh.
really interesting to see that. So maybe for
Yes,
them,
yeah.
especially, it's very healing, but it's
Of
scary.
course. Yeah, I think that's great that they have you there and you creating all these opportunities for them to actually to do the mass, to be not perfect, to do all of that. That's what they need. Curiosity.
Curiosity. I think in terms of my work, I really believe, the first thing a child gets creative is just putting their thumb into their mouth in the replacement of the nipple or a feeling of a sense of safety. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's our birthright to be creative. But then
Mm-hmm.
with more years in school, as Ken Robinson always says, is schools kill all that creativity.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So we get like really upset when mess is
Mm-hmm.
there, or we
Yes.
don't even know how to contain ourselves when there's mess. We just blame
Yeah.
and get very,
Yeah,
very
a
hard,
shame, isn't
ashamed
it?
or
It's a
humid.
shame.
Yeah.
It's that conditioning, isn't it? And that's the difficult. It's that fear. And when I was growing up, it was just
Mm-mm-mm.
we were just running around, and it's a part of the gang. You were there, and we look after of each other, but it was
Yeah.
just nowadays probably it would be like, oh my god, this is danger, you
This is
shouldn't do
bad.
that.
Yes.
This
This
is,
is bad
yeah.
behavior.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's true because the moment we actually play with mess and we touch and we feel,
Yeah.
that to me as a child brings the development of the brain. And then as
Yes.
adults, we lose that sense of
Development.
play or taking
Mm-hmm.
risk, especially.
Yes, yeah. Development of the brain, but as well the self,
Mm,
individual.
mm. Yes,
Yes,
true. It's
yeah,
like if without mess, I don't know where my boundaries are. I don't
yeah,
know whether, I would be
yes.
able to take risk or, where's my limitations. So
Mm-hmm.
then we are
Mm-hmm.
always acting on fear or acting
Yes.
on this, ooh, I better not make a mistake or I better
Mhm,
not be
mhm.
messy.
Yeah,
Chaos is
yeah,
bad. It's
yes.
very similar to the grief, isn't it? Is it similar from chaos, like, to handle chaos, like, you
All
know,
emotions, isn't it? For some people, it might be too much, isn't it? Especially with for people who grow up with overbearing mothers. Then, when they go to partnership, it's
mm-mm.
too much, too much, too much.
Oh, so this is a very interesting part where you said overbearing parent or mother or father. Then in a new relationship where they want to be in love or romance or even
Mhm.
like a friendship, how does this affect them from a
It
very
might
overbearing?
be it might be too much that because
Mm-mm.
if your mother was overbearing a lot of emotions, there wasn't
Mm,
about you, about your emotions and your needs. So you
right.
had to again cut yourself. So there is that self-abandonment.
Okay.
And then maybe you become very logical person. When a partner might be too emotional, it's like you
Ah,
cannot deal with that.
right. That's true. That's
Mhm,
very true. That's very, very clear in today's world. Many
mhm.
people find it overbearing or very hard to handle.
Yeah, yeah,
So to listen to someone's
yeah.
emotions is
Mm,
a
n-
skill.
a skill, but first of all, we need to start listening to ourselves, and our emotions, because we cannot do that for other people. Because as well, you need to recognize your own boundaries. That maybe that person needs other support, and you're not able because of your limitation. You're
Mm.
not able to assist that person. Mm.
This is this is connected to our next question.
Uh-huh.
And I think this one is about deep listening.
Right.
So why
Mm.
is deep listening to the body, emotions, and silence so essential? You talk a lot about listening to the body and, at times where there's talk
Mm.
therapy or in psychotherapy,
Right.
I
Yeah.
would love to
Yeah.
hear how and why is
Yes.
it so essential in your work?
It's everything. It's everything, and that's it. No, no, I just
Yes.
body has got its own wisdom, and body never lies. Mind, we are sometimes very clever. We can
Mm,
manipulate ourselves. We can rationalize, but really listening to the signals from the body. And it might be that because of previous traumas, you may have hyper vigilant, but it's recognizing that at this stage where you are in your life,
mm,
you're not able to do something.
that's
And
right.
that's it's important to listen, but as well do the work with therapist or body worker. Then you can go a little bit further and you listening because emotions are in the body. So you listening the sadness. Emotions are not bad or good. They are just messengers. So sadness communicates different. Joy tells me,
Mm,
and you feel all of that in the body. So that's why it's important so much to
yes.
listen, because then you moving through the life in more fulfilling way, and not
I'm going,
abandoning not
yes,
abandoning
not
yourself.
abandonment. You know, I'm going to be a very, um, I'm going to give you more questions from people that I've listened before.
Okay.
Um, for example, people who have anxiety or anxiousness and they have panic attacks, isn't it?
Right.
And when we are listening to the body, it's almost very scary for them
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to go a little bit deeper. So, for example,
Right.
listening to the body, and immediately they sense that panic and that
Mm-hmm.
anxiousness, and the
Mm-hmm.
symptoms come
Mm-hmm.
up like, I don't want to go there. Physically, I don't want to go to class, or physically, I
Yes.
don't want to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So how do we listen
Of
to the
course,
body?
it's the same trauma. How do we listening to the body when we've been after trauma?
Mm,
So that's of course it's very unique for each person. As a general, we maybe there is a severe anxiety.
yes,
I'm coming from the approach that we don't label the conditions. It's humanistic approach, Carl Rogers. But of course, if there is need for diagnosis, I think that it's very important. It's not that diagnosis is identifying you, but it helps you
that's right.
to get know yourself better and
Mm,
what you can work with. And sometimes that medication will help. Hmm?
mm,
So that as well is important here
mm,
to assess that. When we are talking about anxiety, that I feel
that's right.
anxiety or fear
Mm,
or shame, then I do really how you can work. It's David Hawkins release techniques of
mm,
emotions, and more you practice, more you meditating, it's getting better. And I have
mm,
got evidence through on myself and as well the people who I work with, because sometimes my counseling session are parts meditation. And
beautiful.
it's this is this specific David Hawkins, because what you are building, actually you building that capacity to hold that anxiety, because these are
That's right.
different parts of the brain.
Mm,
So it's like your adult Jolie, adult Gosia is holding that emotional part within you, not the whole of you, which is anxious, which is scared, which is maybe ashamed.
yes. Yes. I'm going to give you a different scenario. And thank you so much for that, because I think anxiousness, panic, comes from, I understand, past triggers. And when they're triggered, it
Yes,
fires the whole body up, and it's really hard to access into that nervous system, into that
yes,
information.
yeah,
But
yeah.
what if it
Mm-hmm.
would be someone who has done a lot of work? and did a lot of therapy or even trainings, and they know everything. And immediately when they're listening, it's almost like I already know it. So it's almost like a sense of block, or like, I have no time for this. I know the answer. So that part of listening is almost dismissed, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, it's almost dismissed. And of course, when we are talking about this panic attack, it's a grounding techniques. You need to bring persons to the
that's
present
right.
moment. Present moment. So it's touching the body. EFT, emotional freedom techniques. I don't practice that, but I've heard that it's very powerful approach. But in regards to to that specific scenario, it's difficult when the thing is that with emotions, you never gonna to not feel emotions because it's not possible.
Mm,
But the way how you respond to them, that will change with meditation. The release techniques of David
with
Hawkins.
listening, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
with
right.
listening, because it's a science. It's a limbic
Mm,
system. We
yeah.
feel emotions in the body and they come and go and all of that is, uh, yeah, it's not possible. Even with therapy, it doesn't mean
Mm,
that emotion will disappear. They will be, but your
always there.
relationship with certain emotions will change. Mhm.
And how you actually manage those triggers, right? Again, when it comes up.
Yeah.
And when you said meditation and I went back to listening, is because I've witnessed different types of meditations, and there's so many
Yes.
types of meditations. And
Yes.
sometimes meditations can bring you to a very beautiful place, so
Mhm.
creative and relaxing. But it takes you away from truly listening, the listening
Yes.
of
Yes.
your emotions, like
Yeah.
truly what is there, what is the
Mhm.
response, that resilience zone that you talked about. And, a lot of thinking is there, so people forget how to feel, right?
Yes. Yeah.
The thinking of, I know this,
Mhm.
instead of,
Yeah.
I'm curious to feel what I'm sensing now, like tracking those
Mhm.
sensations in the body.
Mhm. So this David Hawkins
Mm.
meditation is actually it's
Mm.
about inviting that emotion
Ah, so
and
inviting the emotion in the journey.
allowing and not in the journey. You basically doing the body scan,
Okay.
putting in more relaxed position, and then you ask person to identify emotions, or maybe already we noticing that the emotions come to the surface. So
Mm.
then is locate emotion in the body,
Yes. Wonderful.
and
Yes.
then what people saying sit with emotions, what
That's right.
it means breathe into that place in the body and from that place in the body. And then I have got these three questions at the end, and you release that emotion, so you
Beautiful.
release that energy. So it's not about taking, it's actually meeting and sitting, like your
Yes.
adult self is sitting with this little part within you which feels that. Mhm.
Yes. And really acknowledging that little child and that area that sits in the
Yes.
body,
Yeah. Yes.
that stays in the
Yes.
body. Beautiful.
Yes.
I
Yes.
like the clarity of this.
That's how we starting mm, self emotional regulation. How we learn that, because many people they don't know actually.
How to
So it's
access. Yes.
first of all you need to ask yourself always, what are you feeling? How am I? Hmm? And then is you asking what emotion I'm feeling, specific emotions, more
Mm.
specific better, because brain doesn't like confusion. In the moment when you say specific emotions, something is getting clearer and calmer in the brain. Then next step is, where do you feel these emotions in the body? And there is the sitting with emotions, which is often misunderstood. It actually allowed yourself to stay with the body, with emotions, and breathing in and breathing out until that knot, that discomfort will dissolve.
Beautiful. Yes.
Mm,
Yes. I love this.
yeah,
Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. It's a
thank you.
it's a beautiful, when I teach children in schools, especially with ADHD or behavior problems,
Mm,
it's very similar of almost the deep listening that we want to clarify here is not just meditation or, breathing. It's really tracking, locating,
yeah,
and then finding that resilience zone and then
yeah,
understanding, right? The effects of it.
yes,
And it's really beautiful. I
yeah.
have,
Mhm.
do you want to share anything else?
That challenging,
Mm.
isn't it?
It's
Because I
very
work with
challenging.
with adults, and
Yes,
with children is a different work, I assume here, because it's like you need to be very creative with these emotions, isn't it? And
in a
it's
group it's
difficult to
challenging.
it's difficult to set a child with ADHD and meditate on emotions,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
that creativity, I think, from your
That's
side
right,
comes here.
Gosia. It shows your
Mhm.
experience. That's right. A lot of letting go of what is supposed to be, what is expected, to really listening as a facilitator, watching,
Mm.
listening, and then adapting, being able
Yeah,
to adapt
yeah,
to what they need. And then we have a big class, right? So being a little bit more firm,
gosh,
being being really
yeah,
clear, but also
yeah,
giving them the creative process to
yes,
listen,
yeah.
to tap in. But the beautiful thing is that with children and adults, I think they're less fixed and it's very easy
Mm-hmm.
for them to feel the sincerity of a facilitator,
Yeah, yes, yeah, definitely.
where
They
an
will pick up on
adult,
it.
exactly, and when an
Mm,
adult, I notice is that it really takes a lot of time for me to deliver and explain, for them to trust me and to say,
right.
this is okay to go into. Um, so yeah,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Right.
I
Okay.
love this. We
Yes,
have
yeah.
the next question. It's
Mm-hmm.
um it's about integration. And I think
Okay.
integration is very important. So what changes when people stop trying to heal? What changes when people stop trying to heal and instead begin to witness what is already present?
Right.
So, which means they stop
Mm-hmm.
trying to heal something. They stop trying to say, oh, it's similar
Yeah. Yeah.
to listening
Mm-hmm.
and they start
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
witnessing.
Yes, yeah. So there, I would say that there is already integrated, quite integrated persona, uh, because there is something you said they start witnessing, huh?
That's right.
So it
Witnessing.
means that there is that level of consciousness already there, that it's almost that consciousness is an observer which observes that
Mm,
different fragmented parts, not fragmented, but that parts, that internal dialogue is
mm,
changing. And it's almost like
mm.
that there
The
is this
awareness, right?
awareness and that consciousness that is observing, that's my adult, that's my emotional part, that's my strategy, and I can navigate that. Oh, yes.
I think this is the
So,
part where I'm most interested as well because
right.
a lot of people go to a therapy session and it's almost like, I know that you use a lot of word of dependent or like codependent
Mm-hmm.
and they need to keep going to therapy session, which is
Yes.
completely fine. But then in
Mm-hmm.
the actual work itself, actual life,
Yes.
actual living, it's hard to integrate.
Yes. Yes. Right. Right. Yes, and that's
What is the
mm,
gap there that's needed
gap
for
there.
them to integrate?
Is that father? I do really think it's a father, it's a masculine part. But if
Okay.
they are, many years in therapy and they are, talking and talking and talking, and I am therapist, of course, and but it's something. How many years do you want to talk more? Huh? So it's like I, as a therapist, I as well need to be that kind of recognize that. Is there still that loyalty towards mother, emotions, emotions, emotions? And
Mm.
there is that, what about this masculine?
Mm.
And how, because if you go to therapy and your external one doesn't get better, what is happening in these therapy sessions? Is that a space for you to offload, or still some kind of validation? Or
Mm.
yeah,
Or fear of
so
losing out, isn't it? Fear of saying
mm,
no, rejecting.
mm,
That's
yeah,
beautiful. You know, when I
yeah,
am in this industry, we have a lot of healing and healers and people who have healed or maybe just always in that healing journey. And
yeah,
they spend a lot of money, a lot of time.
uh-huh,
It's almost
uh-huh.
like I've always been hurt. Like there's many years of healing I devote myself into. But the true action or true integration, what is very interesting for me to hear is this masculine energy of being able to take charge or take ownership.
Yes,
Excuse
yes.
me.
Because when you integrate that feminine and masculine, which is your mother, all these emotions, and you do the work, you heal that relationship with the mother, then it's a father, you healing that, you have got this inner authority, and
Mm,
you are moving through the life. Uh, and you might lose yourself a little bit, but then you come back. It's that's the integration. So for me, it's about integration, mm, about that feminine and masculine part within ourselves when they are balanced and they support each other
beautiful.
internally. Yeah? And the other thing is why people in therapy, mm, sometimes, strategy might be, like drugs, alcohol,
That's
but
right.
as well work, sport, and as well spirituality might be as well strategy. So it might be, personal development might be
Mm,
as well strategy. It's a survival, something which helps me to survive still.
that's
And that
right.
is important to recognize that.
Mm,
Am I actually living my life, or I am
truly.
in this development and spirituality, or like you said, constantly healing. You already, eh, we're not looking problem where they not,
Mm. I think you hit the right note of what resonates with me is the feminine and masculine, but not a lot of people, and it takes a lot of practice. And I would say, stillness, that capacity to be brave enough to practice stillness and that stillness of understanding, you know, um, this link or the attachments
Mm-hmm.
of this craving, this needing
Yes. Yeah.
of like to be, maybe you mentioned validated, or also, to really allow myself to see the power.
Mm,
But I think in stillness, or at least
yeah.
with a very wonderful therapist or guide or master, there is this guide, isn't it? This way of giving
Yes.
that person, as you've
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, bringing them into those location of the body and through more
Mm-hmm.
experiential learning. you know,
Yes.
there's courage to
Yeah.
really see. I
Mhm.
really also
Mhm.
enjoy you always ask and check into, and that really makes whether it's a therapist or facilitator is to facilitate the participant into how they can find their own freedom or power,
Mm. Mm.
right? Mm. It's like a
Yes. Yeah.
compass, you know? I
Yes.
describe it
Yes.
like a compass. Like when I
Yes.
really go deep into,
Yeah.
and if I don't really go deep into tracking or understanding and listening and tapping into nature, I get into that cycle
Mhm.
of, oh,
Mhm.
needing to fix or needing someone to fix.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes,
So yeah.
that what you said, that stillness, silence, it's so important. Even after the I don't know, interaction, or like you
Mm-mm.
said, some losses, some project, and that moment, that
Exactly.
pauses when I can actually be still,
Yes.
silent, and just
Mm.
go
Honor
into
it. Yes.
myself, yes,
Mm.
and check with myself, how am I with it?
Beautiful. Yes, I
How am
love
I
this.
feeling?
That's right.
Mm-hmm,
How to
mm-hmm.
honor
Yeah.
this process and not immediately replace. Maybe journaling, like you've mentioned. Like
Yes.
I find it really helpful. I write a lot on, like, some people paint or
Yeah.
pottery is also
Mm-hmm,
something that I
mm-hmm,
find that
mm-hmm.
it's really helps me to
Yeah.
process. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
beautiful. All right. So we've come to the end of our conversation. Oh, I really want to say thank you. I feel so close to you, even though it's just a conversation online. Thank you, Gosia. Thank you for sharing such important things that people can maybe learn and be more curious about. Thank you.